Hey everybody, wanted to do a quick response to a comment today. I've actually gotten a couple comments now on the length of Coast Guard boot camp, and there's been some question about is 7-8 weeks long enough. I say it's 8 weeks, but you can consider it 7 weeks if you consider that first week as administrative. I do still think that's also part of the boot camp experience, but let's call it 7 weeks. And there was one comment in particular that I wanted to respond to. He was saying that this was Brian Calhoun, who, by the way, has a really cool channel. I went and checked it out. It looks like he was a former Marine, so that's awesome. Check out that channel. He said, "What's most shocking to me is it's only 7 weeks, with that first week being just receiving and non-physical stuff. Meantime, another thing about weeding people out that doesn't really occur in basic training. The military wants retention." And then he went on to say that 7 weeks is way too fast. The human body has just barely started to respond to the physical training, which in this case looks like a spin class at any local gym. Okay, so having seen that you are a Marine, I'm going to go ahead and take that last line as playful banter, and I'm not going to take that personally in any way. But when it comes to the length of basic training, there were a couple things in there I did want to comment on. First off, the weeding out process absolutely does happen. And as I've said before, it doesn't always happen right away. And there's a few reasons for that. One of those is that you want to give people a chance to prove themselves. But the other part of it is you want to see how the other recruits are going to respond to that troubled recruit. The weeding out process can manifest itself in many ways. Some people weed themselves out. We had a person who literally ran away from the company while we were doing push-ups in the middle of the parade field, and the CCs kind of just laughed and said, good luck, like see how far you get. And there was another time where somebody basically had a mental breakdown. As they were doing push-ups, they started yelling how they hated them. I hate you, why are you doing this to me? And basically just said, I'm tired of this, like I can't do this to me. And it was clear from that situation that they were not going to be with us at graduation. And so the weeding out definitely does happen. It doesn't take a particularly long time, as I'm sure you know with your experience, that it doesn't usually take a particularly long time for people to reveal themselves in difficult and stressful situations, for the real them to come out. So that's to address that part. Now, the issue of the length of the Coast Guard. Now, everyone's certainly entitled to their opinion, and I'm not really taken aback by that. That's fine. I certainly didn't I'm not the person that wrote the Coast Guard boot camp program, nor am I the one who determined how long it should be. Maybe it should be longer than that. I don't have the answer to that. I will say, though, that you can fit a whole hell of a lot into 7 weeks. It certainly didn't feel like 7 weeks at the time. And when you are basically on the clock 24 hours a day, you can cram a lot of information into your heads. There was also a comment about the body just having enough time to physically adapt to the changes. I'm really glad you made that point, because a big part of basic training fundamentally is to prepare you for the fluidity, the not knowing what's going to happen when you get out there in the real world. You will be faced with different situations all the time, that you have your standard training plan in order to handle some of these situations, but a lot of the times you're going to be thinking on your feet. You're going to be under stressful situations, you're going to be under duress, and much like muscle confusion when it comes to working out is very important for building muscles, boot camp is in a lot of ways not necessarily about teaching you the specific right way to do every single thing that you're ever going to do in the Coast Guard. It's about working under duress, working under stressful conditions, the sense of urgency, with quick turnaround deadlines and just very high intensity environments. They're trying to simulate that experience. It's not about any one specific thing that you're going to now be an expert on when you get out in the field. It's about learning to think on your feet. The big objective of basic training is to mentally prepare you for challenges and for the unknown. And you can't plan for a specific unexpected unknown situation or outcome, but you can prepare mentally for that experience in a general sense. And then as to the length itself, certainly basic training is 7 weeks, yes. When I graduated boot camp, however, was I a marine science technician chief? No. I was a seaman breaking in as a pollution investigator, and I had no education in terms of Coast Guard and no qualifications, but I had enough of a baseline for me to be a break-in and to start learning at a baseline level what my job would be. And then I went to MSTA school, which was 9 weeks. Some of the A schools are 20 weeks, 24 weeks. ASTA school is 6 months. And then 7 weeks on top of that for EMT training. And then you have C schools. So FOCR C school, that's 2 weeks right there. PR college was 1 week. Facilities college was 1 week. Container college was 1 week. You have leadership and management school, which is another week. As you start to progress more in your career, you got ICS 300, which is Incident Command System, which is a kind of your bread and butter for emergency management training, 1 week. 400 another day, 100 another day, 200 another day, 700 and 800 a day. You have your annual 40-hour HAZWOPER, hazardous waste operations training that you have to do. You have your myriad of general mandated trainings that we have to do every year. Some of that is sexual assault, sexual harassment, civil rights, reserve deployment, things like that. As you progress more in your career, you have senior training, such as Chiefs Academy, 3 weeks long. You might do Chiefs Call to Initiation. That's can be up to 12, 16 weeks, around there, depending on your unit. You might decide to go be an officer and do Rocky. That's 17 weeks. And you might even go through the Coast Guard Academy. That's 4 years. The point being that your training doesn't end with boot camp. It's really, it's called basic training for a reason. It's the basics. It's your bread and butter. It's learning how to be an effective follower so that when the time comes, you can be an effective leader and take care of your people, which is really, to me, that's what good leadership is all about. So could boot camp be longer? Maybe, but I certainly took away a lot from that experience. And speaking anecdotally, I think I've had a good career. I think that it set me up for success. It helped me compartmentalize a lot of stresses, even in my regular life outside of the Coast Guard. When I face stresses or challenges in the world, sometimes I draw back to my experiences in basic training and think like, well, at least I don't have somebody yelling in my face right now. So that's my take on that. And of course, all that training is in addition to all your work experience on the job training to get all those qualifications: container inspector, pollution responder, facilities inspector, commercial fishing vessel examiner, federal on-scene coordinator representative, where there's port state control, boarding officer, boarding team member. All those different experiences require a tremendous amount of training, experience, and just repetition. So I think that the training plan that I've had in my career has been effective and has helped me get to where I am today. And if you consider this to be tantamount to a local cycle spinning class, then that's a damn good spinning class that you've got at your gym.